Howdy out there in the valley. Hope you're all doing well. Wanted to do my own little video, my own take on YouTube here, on my take on barter and trade. Because a lot of the YouTube videos that are out there, because I do feel like in today's economy, with the raising prices and with inflation and with everything getting even more ridiculously out of price, um, things will eventually collapse at this rate. But you know, the one thing I've always looked at was that things like, suppose you get into gardening, you make a gardener, so well, now that you've got that garden going, that won't be affected by inflation, especially if you're composting. You can add to that garden all the time. You'll still have a garden going. Or if you happen to get into fishing, once you've gotten your fishing rod, and yes, you'll have to renew your license every so often, but the fish you could catch to eat could outweigh the amount you pay on your license, for example. But a lot of videos online that do go into barter or trade often revolve either around business trading, which a lot of people, when they think barter and trade, usually don't go to that, although I'm sure there's a few. But I mean, a lot of the ones who do actually incorporate what we would consider as barter and trade will either go down the road of the history of it and how it led to money and whatever, or they'll go along the route also kind of leading to this is how money came to. We'll often tell some story about well, if Jimmy had a pair of shoes and he wanted fish, but he went to the fisherman and the fisherman didn't want shoes, he wanted corn, so he went to the farmer and tried to trade his shoes for corn, but unfortunately, he wanted this, so he had to go there, and then it took him half the day to get the whatever he wanted. And that can be sometimes the case, and that's sometimes where money will come in handy. Like good luck bartering fish for your rent, I guess, these days. But you know, what I'm saying is if you're already fishing or hunting or gardening anyways, these are things that can pay off because you can actually feed yourself. But where bartering can come in handy is that you can likely trade a lot of your extra resources amongst your community, whether you're baking, whether you're fishing, whether you're hunting, whether you're pickling, whether you're jamming, whether you make breads or other bakeries. Maybe you're into making furs and hides into things. Maybe you're into whatever. I know a lot of you are already thinking, like, oh, well, then what if you have this, but you want that, and whatever? Well, what you could do is, in my scenario, what I did is I started a Facebook group for my area called the Ottawa Valley Gardens and Games Bartering Group for people who hunt or fish or forage or garden or like if they make jams or pickles or bread or bake, or maybe they're into furs and crafts and whatever, they can trade some of their excess stuff like flour or extra meat they've got, extra fish they've got, extra bread they've got, extra whatever, to other members of the group for what they might have. They can either, you know, talk to people who are into certain things. Suppose you make bread but you're looking for pickles. You could talk to people in the group who make pickles and try to make a barter with them. Or if that's not so successful, at least you have a whole group of people. Mine's getting pretty close to 500. And you have a whole group of people, and you can be like, hey, listen, I just baked 30 loaves of bread to make up for the flour I've got extra. Does anybody want to trade some bread? And you might get offers from different members, and you can choose what would best suit your variety and diet, right? But the good thing about having a bartering group like this for your area, if you happen to the Ottawa Valley area, feel free to join or check it out. But you could always start a group like this in your area. So that way, if you ever have extra flour, extra sugar, if you are out fishing and you caught 5 bass, but you're not a huge bass fan, you want to trade off 3 of them or something, or if you're into hunting or gardening or whatever, maybe even if you just trade seeds or you've got 30 fishing rods in the basement you never use, maybe you can trade it off for some gardening equipment or something, like the options are always there, right? So, I mean, I guess I could see one's point if they think it's way too much of a hassle to run around to all your bartering buddies to see who's got what and whatever. But, I mean, if you can trade off some of your access anyways and get extra variety in your diet without having to spend money and taxes on it, not only do you get extra variety, but that's what's that much more money to save towards the other things you are short on. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, if you can budget your money just as well as you're budgeting the stuff you're trading, you could probably still end up with most of the stuff you need anyways while still saving a couple of dollars, right? Because in today's society, with everything getting more and more expensive, it only really makes sense to save where you can. So, maybe this is an idea you can come up with. Maybe you can start a local forum or a local Facebook group or a local bartering group for your area, you know what I mean? And if you happen to be in the Ottawa Valley area or surrounding areas, feel free to check out the Ottawa Valley Gardens and Games bartering group on Facebook. Because I mean it's basically a place you can trade just about anything you've got. Whether it's related to these topics or not, but especially if they are related to the topics. But I often post new information and informative posts up there for people to learn from each other, you know what I mean? And so do the odd other person. So you might get some trading in, you might get some bartering in, you might get some knowledge in, you might be able to teach other people, you know, because that's what the group is about, is not only being able to trade with each other, but being able to learn from each other, being able to help each other if somebody needs help, for example, and maybe make a barter that way. But that's about all I've really got to say for this video. It's over 7.5 minutes. I didn't intend to make it this long, but I hope you're all doing well, and hopefully you consider bartering and trading, because there's a lot of other communities that I know of that do seed trades or seedy Sundays, or libraries might have seed caches in them, I've been told. So I mean, it happens. So I mean, just keep your eyes out. You might find deals to make gardening easier, for example, or fishing easier if you know the right people, or whatever. But take care, guys. Have a good day.